Hey guys, it's John with ReelBlue Custom Rods, and today we're going to talk about how to apply decals to your rod build. I want to show a few pointers and give you some guidance or some techniques that I use when I'm applying decals to my custom rod builds. There's a few things that you need to follow. So once you have these decals, you don't want to ruin them, and you want to get them applied correctly the first time you put them on, right? So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing I want to do when I'm applying decals is I want to make sure that I'm working with a good surface initially. And what do I mean by working with a good surface? So the decals I'm going to be applying today, I'm going to be actually putting 3 on this rod build. And so one is my logo. The other is this purple heart down here on the bottom, and then the customer's name. So that'll be the 3 decals on this rod. But the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that the surface is prepared to receive the decal, and the surface has to be flawless to make sure that your decal is flawless when it's applied. So what do I mean by that? Well, after I applied all my thread, I apply a coat or 2 of finish to make sure I have a nice smooth surface to start with. So if I had to apply 2 coats of finish, which I did to this one, I'll apply the first coat, I'll let it dry, I'll come back with razor blade if I need to, take any nicks out, make sure I do due diligence when I'm applying the finish to make sure that there's no bubbles inside the finish. And then I come back over with a second coat and let it dry completely, and then that should give me a nice smooth surface to apply the decals. Before I go to apply, if it's been, a couple days since I've applied the finish and I let it dry, one of the things I like to do, is not really necessary, but I like to come back with a small piece of masking tape. And then I just take the masking tape and I just go over the finish, and I'm just making sure, if it's dusty in your shop, I'm just going over, making sure I'm taking anything that might have fallen on top of the finish or settled on the finish before I apply the decals. I'm just making sure I'm taking any of that stuff off so it doesn't get stuck between the decal and the surface of the finish. So the most important step that you have to follow, or that I recommend that you follow, is make sure that you're starting with a flawless surface after a coat or 2 of your finish, nice and smooth, and it's ready to take the decal. That's step 1. Step 2 is you have to use quality decals. If you're not using quality decals, then it's kind of an uphill battle from there. You've prepped the surface on your rod. Now you want to apply your decals. The last thing that you want to do is add a inferior decal or not a very high quality decal to your rod. And there's a lot of places you can have decals made. I know there's some wholesale or fishing rod component companies that will make decals for you. And they're not bad. They're not bad at all. I've used them in the past. But if you want good quality decals, the best decals out there, in my personal opinion, I recommend that you reach out to the people, Debbie and Brittany out at Decal Connection out in Kentucky. And that is where I have all of my decals made. And you can have your decals made there too. They do small one-offs type stuff like this, whether it's a name. Then, of course, you can do, if you're like myself and you're doing large quantities of decals for certain types, you can also have, your logos or anything like that mass produced by those guys. Again, Decal Connection are the people that you want to reach out to for the best decals, in my personal opinion. This is just my personal professional opinion. I think they make the best decals out there for your fishing rods. So again, to recap, step one in applying decals, you got to make sure you're starting with a great quality surface that's prepared to receive the decal. Number two, you have to have high quality decals like these here, again, from Decal Connection. And then the next step is just personal preference. I like to find the center of my decals to help make sure I get them lined with whichever part of the rod that I'm trying to align them to. And let me show you an example. So for this Purple Heart decal, just a metal, what I'll do is I have my Sharpie. I'll come back with my ruler. And then what I like to do is find the center of the decal, and it's there and there. And then I just draw a line straight down the decal. And that line I will use to help make sure that I'm in line with the rest of the rod. Here, something else, a little quick pro tip. I have, a very small decal, a customer's name right here. And then I have a lot of extra decal material here from where it was manufactured. So what I'll do is I'll come back in with my scissors, and I won't cut super close because what I don't want to do is cut that portion of the decal. So I'll just come in here and cut some of this extra material off just to make it a little bit more manageable, if you will. And then I'll come back. Same thing on this decal. I'll try to find what I think is the center of this decal. Sorry for the long pause. And I'll make a line through there. And again, I will use this line when I am aligning the decal on the blank for the build. All right. So again, to recap, quality surface that's prepared to receive the decal means you did all your prep work. You have a nice, good base coat of finish that's ready to receive the decal. Number two, you're using high quality decals to make sure that they last and that they adhere to the rod correctly. And the next thing I like to do for my personal preference, step three, is I like to mark the center of those decals like I did here. And then number four, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and apply the decal. So here is the blank that I am, or the rod that I'm adding these decals to. So what I like to do is find the center of that rod. So this person's name is going to go right here on the top. Again, I'm just going to come in here, make sure there's no dust on there. And then I'll come back with some Scotch tape. Just tear off a little piece. And then what I like to do is flip the decal over. So this is the back side of the decal. And then I place the tape, the Scotch tape, on the back of that. All right. What I want to do is place the Scotch tape on the back of the decal and then peel it from the front. And what that tape will do is it allow me to pull the back off of the decal. And then so I have, this is the actual back of the decal. This is the top or the front of the decal. And that tape allows me to pull that back off and then get this top piece set up. Again, I want to make sure that my blank, or that the rod that I'm adding the decal to, is nice and straight. This is a spinning rod setup. And then I'm going to just come down on here. Make sure I'm centered. And I'm going to take my burnishing tool. Yep. And then I'm just burnishing, rubbing on that decal. And the reason why I use the burnishing tool is that's going to help make sure that I'm smoothing out the decal and that I'm taking all the air bubbles out of it. So I have no bubbles between the surface of the decal and the rod blank. And then just because I put that red Sharpie pen on that decal, it kind of rubs off on my burnishing tool, which you can clean off. All right, and I think that's really it. And then what you can do is you can go back up here, grab your piece of that decal. So you can grab this top piece of that decal and I just kind of fold it over and slightly pull on it. Bam. And so that's the first decal that we've had, that we've got added. And so now what I want to do is I want to slide this down and we're going to do another decal for you. So the next decal that I want to add is going to be up here. It's going to be my Purple Heart decal. Again, I want to make sure that my rod is straight. However I want to have it set up for the decal. And then I can come back. I can peel off that Scotch tape off the back of that one decal and just reuse that same piece. So I'll come back to this Purple Heart decal. Again, I'll take the Scotch tape, place it on the back of the decal, and I'll turn it back over. So here's the top. The sticky part of the Scotch tape is there. I'll peel the back of that decal off. And then come back up here to apply the decal. And I think that is all right. I think that's okay. And I'll just take my, again, burnishing tool. I got my burnishing tool and I'm just rubbing the decal down, turning the rod slowly as I burnish it back and forth. I'm just going over the top part of this decal, right? Making sure that I get a good adhesion between my finish and the bottom or the sticky part of the decal. And I'm just going all over, slowly turning the blank or your rod. And then I just kind of come in with the burnishing tool and I come in on the edge of the decals. All right. Now I want to come and find the edge. Just kind of pry that up. And then slowly pull the top part off. And voila, then you have your decal on there. And then that's, adding that second decal. And then of course I still need to come on and I need to add my my logo decal to this build. But that's really pretty much it. So again, to recap, the process in ensuring that you have a good quality, looking product when you're using decals. The first thing is you want to make sure that the surface is prepared correctly, right? You've either used one or possibly 2 coats of finish. You did your prep work, you've taken your time, and you've got a good surface for the decals to adhere to. All right. The next thing that you want to do is you want to use good quality decals to ensure that, one, that they last, a lifetime. And 2, by using good quality decals, they're going to stick properly. You have less chance of the ends turning up on the decals. And when you're using quality decals, to me, it seems like you have a less chance of getting air bubbles stuck between the decal and the blank. I think these decals by Decal Connection are very high quality decals. And I will tell you, they've changed my game when it comes to, adding decals to your rods. All right. And then this step 3 is I like to find the center line on the decal and then, put that down the line. So that helps me stay centered, especially when I'm using things like the Purple Heart. And I know it's the angle of the camera and it's hard to kind of tell, but with this spinning rod setup, this, bottom spinning guide is straight down, right? And so what I want to do is I wanted to make sure that the name and that the Purple Heart are definitely on the center portion of the blank on the top. And so that's why I use that center line. All right. And then the 4th step is I like to use the piece of Scotch tape to peel the back of the decal off. And then I go ahead and apply those decals. And then my 5th step or secret to success is once I've applied all the decals to the fishing rod, I put the rod back in the rack and I let the rod sit for about 24 hours before I apply finish. Does everybody need to do that? No. You don't need to do that. If you wanted to take it and go right back, get it on the dryer, and start applying finish, hey, good for you. You can do that. But there's a reason why I let the rods sit for 24 hours before I put the finish on top of the decals. And that reason is finish is very hot when you combine your part A and your part B, chemically, right? It's very hot when you're applying that. And in the past, I've noticed that when I apply, my finish to the rod surface and on the top of the decals right after applying them, I find that the finish likes to move off of the decal, where you'll apply it and it basically will move itself as it's spinning. It will come off of the decal or off portions of the decal. I've also noticed that when you apply finish directly to decals after you've put them on the rod, there is a good chance for the finish, because it's hot, will curl up the ends of the decal and cause it to turn up. So it's just something that I've been doing for years now. I put the decals on, I let the decals sit on the rod for 24 hours, and then I come back over and I put another coat of finish or 2 on top of that rod to finish it out. So I hope this video on applying decals helps. I hope you're able to learn something from it, and apply it to your process when you're, adding your decals and stuff. If you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button, and feel free to share it with somebody that you think will find it useful. Also, if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. And I release videos twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays. So I hope to see you again. Take care. Until next time, make sure you guys watch this next video. Goodbye.